order of April 25th, 2022, Select Board. Please all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is the acceptance and correction of minutes of 4/11/22 of public and non-public.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from 4/11/2022, public and non-public, with corrections if need be.
I'll second.
Any discussion, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 5-0. We have an announcement, and Drug Take Back Day and Shredding Day. The Goffstown Police Department is participating in Take Back Day with the collection site located across the street at 329 Mash Road, Goffstown, in the former women's prison lot. This event will be held Saturday, April 30th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Look for the Goffstown Mobile Police Command. This is a free and anonymous. There are a few guidelines. No liquids, inhalers, ointments, thermometers, needles, or aerosols. We cannot accept items before 10 o'clock a.m. Don't be surprised by it's in your medicine cabinet. If you haven't used them, don't need them, or they're expired, drop them off at the Take Back Day collection site near you on Saturday, April 30th, 2022. Help loosen the grip on drugs. If you're not in Goffstown, check the local collection site near you at www.deatakeback.com. This year we're excited to share this event. It will be in conjunction with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. They are sponsoring the Shred It event and to dispose of your sensitive documents also. Another quick note, just to mention that on May 7th is Old Home Days. I don't think we have another meeting before then, so just wanted to mention that May 7th, there'll be a lot of activities in town with, Kelly, almost 50 vendors? Over 50 vendors. We're pretty excited about that. Anybody got anything else? Seeing none? David, why don't you step on up? We get a little bit of head start.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. David Pierce, 21 Mill Street, and I'm representing Friends of the Goffstown Rail Trail. As you know, we're a 501c3, and our mission in life is to help design, fund, and do construction management of the Goffstown Rail Trail. I'm very happy that this fall we're doing the longest stretch. You've already approved for me to do the improvement from Lynchville Park Road to Moose Club Park Road, 2/3 of a mile, and I've hired a local contractor, Mr. John Neville, to do the work. I've used him 3 times before, and I know he'll do a good job for the town. However, I'm looking forward, now that with this fall's project, there's only 6 small sections, each one about 1/10 of a mile long, left. So I'm starting to look forward how to finish those up. And that's the reason I'm here this evening. In next year, 2023, I would like to start on the section that is near the Shell station on Mass Road. You have a handout that looks like this, and I've labeled that there's technically in my world there's 3 sections there that are all different in their how they're being constructed. The one I've labeled section A is not part of the discussion tonight. That particular section has been promised to be built whenever the property is developed. And so that leaves what I call section B, the subject of this evening's discussion. The town owns 2 easements that goes through that private property. One of them I call the straight through easement, because that's where the old rail lines were. And the other one is from the front to the back easement. When that property was purchased, it had just one easement straight through. When the plans were presented to the town planning board back in 2001, the developer wanted to offer that they weren't particularly thrilled to have people riding through the filling area of the gas station, so they offered the town an easement that's abuts the edge of their parking lot going to the rear, coming out on Tato Drive. And so Friends of the Rail Trail would like to offer to the town that we would fund and construct that 500 feet of trail next year. So several administrative things needs to be done first, and primarily that the proper thing is for the town to notify the property owner that the town wishes to use the right of an easement to construct the trail. Secondly, that would lead, once that construction is done in what I call Section C, an option there is to paint the bicycle sherrills on the vehicle lanes, indicating to the motorists that that 500 feet of public road is a shared vehicle lane situation. What I'd like out of you this evening is to schedule a public hearing so that you can formally accept my donation. The worth of the donation is, I estimate, $6,100. And Derek's told me that that requires a public hearing before you can make a motion to accept my donation and for next year's construction.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
This just, is this just a concern Section B right now, not the bicycle part on C? I'm just curious.
Well, by default, there's some of, you know, if I'm completing $6,000 worth of construction, emptying out on Tato, I would, what's your choice? I mean, really, you could put bicycle sherrills on the pavement because you have the authority to tell Adam to do that, or just do nothing because it's just a public road.
Okay.
We have the stencil to do that. We've done it. We do it down Main Street.
No, I just didn't know whether he was proposing we do that now or...
No, it should be done after the trail has been built.
If you did it now, they had no place to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I take a motion that we schedule a public hearing. When would be the date that you'd want to do that?
We could do it May 9th.
May 9th?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Kelly to hold a public hearing to accept the donation from the rail trail for $6,100 on May 9th. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Jordanges, I know you were interested in having the abutters notified of this project. Either you can let the public hearing stand by itself, or you can direct the
No, I
town
think
to-
it would be appropriate to notify any abutters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
It is 6:10. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. We'll move on. Derek, you want to start for 5 minutes?
I can. We also have the DPW director.
So he's
here.
got a bunch of stuff there, but he's not going to be able to do it in 5 minutes, is he?
Our next item is at 6:30, the public hearing.
Okay, then Adam can come out. We're at tab 6.
Good evening. I'll start with the mask. I've got a close household contact, so I'll keep it on. If I'm more mealy-mouthed than normal, just let me know. I'll yell or I'll sit back and take it off. Okay, so first item I've got for you tonight, 2 bid award recommendations. We opened bids last week on the live floor transfer station, live floor transfer trailer and the catch basin cleaning and pipe jetting service. We received 2 bids for the live floor trailer and 3 bids for the catch basin cleaning contract. I recommend tonight we award both to the low bidder of each. The live floor trailer, low bid was $146,262. Lucky's Truck Center and Trailer Sales in South Royalton, Vermont was the low bidder on that. Noteworthy here is that we had last year, pre the latest spike in commodity pricing, we had budgeted in CIP $110,000 for the trailer based on last year's bid with a little bit of inflation. Clearly, we didn't bid enough inflation because, or budget enough inflation because it's significantly up. As you can tell, most of these are, it's a lot of metal. So with the price increase there, we're going to be over for this particular item. We have a number of vehicles remaining, a handful of projects left. I'm hopeful between maybe the New Hampshire the Beautiful grant that's been kind of indicated we might be eligible for the compactor and the recycling building, as well as hopefully a little bit lower than expected on the ventilation sprinkler contract. Once we get that in-house, we'll know. But we've got enough ahead of us that I think it's okay. I recommend we award, even though it's a little higher than we thought, and kind of see as we get closer to the end with other items if we want to maybe hold back or defer or change that going forward. But we do need to keep these trailers cycled through because they are getting a little long in the tooth, and we definitely can't afford to have a stoppage due to no trailers that can be roadworthy. So I'm going to recommend we award that one. And then the catch basin cleaning contract, we have 3 bids on that. Belmore Septic over here in Bedford, Triton Stormwater, and Felix Septic as you see on the bid tab. Triton Stormwater, you might recall that name, they provided for us last year. They weren't very far behind Belmore, but Belmore being the low bid. They also are extremely local, sitting right next door here down 114. And then the fact that they have an actual clamshell truck. Normally we want the back on and the jet for the pipe, but once in a while we get a very large piece of debris or several pieces of debris in a catch basin that they can't suck up with the vacuum hose. Previously that's been hard for these other contractors to get out. Belmore has a clamshell crane that's on a wire that comes down and can grab the larger debris and pull it out with the truck. So for a couple of reasons I'd like to go with them, but they are a little bidder. So I recommend awarding them, and that's a 3-year bid, 2022 to 2024.
Isn't Belmore actually located off of Daniel Plummer Road? That's where
Yeah.
they keep all their stuff.
Yep.
It's all right actually in town.
Yep.
Mark?
So I know we had this issue before, firsthand for me, 24-hour available coverage for Belmore, or are we gonna wait till the following day?
They've said they can be available for emergencies. There is an additional rate if they can. In the past, though, there's been times with everybody, it's not a 100% guarantee. We've got the fallback, probably for emergencies. Most likely what would happen, we use our own back pumps, so
Yep.
we'll have that. And that was kind of the plan there, as we shifted away from that, was we have this for those real
Okay.
true emergencies. But if it was something we couldn't handle, or if the back on was down for some reason, they do, in theory, have emergency capability too. So definitely a lot easier for them than any of the others that would be traveling quite a distance to get in.
I'll make a recommendation if you're ready.
Anybody else got any questions? Go ahead.
Recommend for the live floor trailer first, recommendations for the award to Lucky's Trailer Center and Trailer Sales in South Royalton, Vermont, for the amount of $146,262.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mark and seconded by Jim to approve the low bid of $146,262. Anybody got any more questions? The only question, are you going to be able to find the extra money?
That's the hope. I think, yes, we'll save some of these larger projects. I think that ventilation was going to be the big one. We'd hope to get some final vents that can connect right to the vehicles. We might have to scale back some of that piece on it, depending on how that looks.
The motion's on the floor. Any other questions?
No, I just did the math, it's $32,262, so it should be.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, the motion passes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I missed, is that both or just the trailer?
No, I just did the trailer. The next one would be for the catch basin cleaning.
I'll make the recommendation we award for the 2022-24 catch basin cleaning contract to Belmore Septic, Sewer, and Drain of Bedford, New Hampshire.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any questions, discussions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. This next one's pretty easy, but I got a little interesting trick for you. As you may remember, part of the 2022 budget included replacement of one of our 3 curbside trucks. As I mentioned in the past, we were looking for lot vehicles because of the long lead time. Interesting thing has happened because of the long lead time for chassis around the country. Some of the body manufacturers all of a sudden are sitting and waiting on trucks to show up. So they've actually shortened their lead time. So we're hopeful that we might be able to get a bid here by putting it out rather than wait a couple months that some of the manufacturers had said they might not be able to offer. So I might put it out, we might not get any, we may, but if we do, we might be able to slide in earlier on a body manufacturer than we originally had thought, and that could in the end get us a truck earlier next year rather than later or into '24. Another piece to this is I did not include a allowance for trade-in on the recommended RFP. A couple reasons for that. As we get further along with our curbside program, it's starting to become a challenge for just the 2 drivers and 2 trucks to get all the way around town in 4 days. One of the things that we may have to look at in the future is either adding a 3rd driver most of those days to maybe do a half-day pickup of trash and a half-day of recycling, kind of the same, short little loop. We've also experienced some significant issues with trucks. They're so complicated, the pickup arms and the packer bodies, a lot of wear and tear, a couple thousand stops a day. We've been on our backup trucks more often than not, maybe not more often than not, more often than I'd like, I should say, which presents a little bit of a pucker moment when we're concerned about where to get a curbside truck short notice. There aren't too many of those around anyway, and most of them are actively being used. So that's kind of going to be a issue if trash starts to pile up and we've got to manually go out and throw it in the back of a dump truck, or there's not a lot of great options if we have our 3rd truck go down. But more importantly, as we look forward to fleet replacement, I'd like for curbside trucks to be our first foray as a DPW anyway, all that PD worried about PD stuff, but into electric vehicles. So a lot of communities have started. Buses, of course, are a pretty easy one, but curbside trucks appear to be the next front line for electric, or all electric, heavy-duty trucks. Plow trucks, there are ways out on technology, just the force you need to operate all that gear. But apparently they've been able to get curbside trucks with about 120-mile range, which is just at the cusp of what our trucks do on a normal day. One of the benefits, though, of a transition being more on the leading edge of this in the state would be that we could get some pretty good funding through the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act program. There's a couple of different programs too. The VW settlement has some monies for electric vehicles, but mostly for charging stations right now. But the DERA, D-E-R-A, the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act funding, for a conversion from diesel to all electric can get you as high as 75% of the purchase right now. Their last round, I think, was 75%. So in theory, if we were to replace a couple trucks, we could get some pretty decent offset for the town. I do not, there are some questions being in the early mover status in New England on electric vehicles, who works on them, where do you go for service, if one comes down, how long is it down for, that kind of thing. So that might be the sort of situation where having 4 trucks instead of 3 is also not a bad idea if 1 or 2 of those are electric. You don't want to be on your last leg and find out the hard way that, Florida, Chicago, DC, wherever has electric trucks doesn't have the same challenges that Goffstown does. So I don't want to put us in a real pickle by being an early mover, but I think it's time. I'd like to be on the leading edge of this, both from the savings of diesel, but also the opportunity to grab some of that funding. If we wait a few more years, that Diesel Emissions Reduction Act funding is just going to start to taper off as more and more, people look at change. So one of the linchpins of that program, though, is that if you trade in or if you replace a vehicle, a diesel vehicle with another, they want to actually destroy the engine of that vehicle. They want that diesel engine out of commission. So if we plus up to 4 trucks now, and the time comes to apply for this DERA funding as early as this fall, or maybe even as early as next year replacement if I bump up CIP. We would already have 4, we could replace 2, send them 2 and still have 4, whereas if I applied for 2 and we only have 3 trucks, then we'd have 2 electric vehicles and 1 diesel, which might be a little bit more of a risk than I'd be willing to, jump in both feet and put 2/3 of the fleet into a, electric vehicle situation, so.
My suggestion on that, before we get too deep, is for you to bring us all information on it and some really good studies on how it's working in other places, because
Yep.
there's nothing worse than we get some trucks out there and they're not working for us, and then, then we just, even though we're gonna get funding for it, we got these pretty trucks sitting there that aren't doing the job for us, it doesn't work.
Right, you definitely don't want to be in a place where,
Right.
they go down and it's 6 weeks until you can get a repair or something.
If I could,
Go ahead.
including some history on how these perform in cold weather climates,
Yeah.
like New Hampshire, and Florida and New Hampshire, may be a little different on electric vehicles.
Exactly.
Is there a big price difference in a diesel over, electric over diesel?
The electrics are usually more expensive, so when that big time jump does occur, and it will at some point, we will end up be paying more for our trucks, even if we did move early at some point, whenever it happened. So they are a little more expensive, but the hope, at least up front anyway, to get some of that grant funding makes the payment certainly a lot less.
See if you can find out the price of a replacement battery as well. I hear,
Batteries, yeah.
they're very, very expensive, so.
Adam, have you seen any indication that this will be sanctioned at any point in time? Is that happening anywhere else? In the
Sanctioned
state,
From what?
electric vehicles?
Meaning a requirement they have to be
Mhm.
electric. I think for right now, the majority of any place that has anything in their long-term strategy is like a, 30 by 2030 or 40 by 2040 kind of thing where they're trying to transition, a good chunk of their fleets by that time. For us, it's going to take a real convincing argument that we're going out somewhere else to buy an electric plow truck, for example. That's just, I don't even think they sell any at the moment. So some of these electric curbside fleets have been around for about 10 years. So there's certainly a better case, history of activity. And I think I mentioned Chicago was as far north as I could find. I didn't look into Canada, but they certainly.
You mentioned the Packers are available, but not the chassis. Are our chassis that bad we can't put a new Packer on it?
I think so.
Okay, I'm just,
On the emissions end, we've had some tough runs with the fleets that we have now, so.
Right.
So that's kind of where we stand, but a little bit, I just want to get it all out there. If a request comes in and you don't see a allowance for trade, that was really not on there, not to say we couldn't. If folks want to go a different direction, we could probably put one on muni bid and make out pretty well, I think.
yeah, but that means hiring another person and putting another truck on the road, that's another expense.
Well, as far as full-time routes, yeah, I think that's kind of a secondary, future discussion. It was more to, put us in a place where if we do try to make this jump and go for that money, we don't only have 3 trucks in fleet. That way, a smaller percentage of our overall fleet is not electric all at once.
Now you got some good vehicles you want to put out to bid?
Yes, if I could get a motion just on that, on the RFP though, to go out for the regular truck chassis and side loader bodies.
I'll make a recommendation motion to advertise for the bids for the right-handed drive cab and chassis and automated side loader and body as proposed.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Kelly. Any further discussion, questions? This is the same type of vehicle we're running now, right?
Yes, almost identical spec to the last one put out.
Yeah.
Still looking like for a Peterbilt cab and chassis or
Whatever.
whatever's
Leave it
available.
open,
Yeah, okay.
acceptable, usually that's kind of the price
Yeah.
range we're in. so.
Yep.
Have a motion on the floor. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Okay, thank you, and yes, just the last item, I've got 2 of the 3 police vehicles for the year are ready for auction. One we just received and haven't had time to defit it and then re-outfit it for DPW purposes yet, but The first two are both 2013 Ford Taurus Interceptors. One's got just under 147,000 miles, and the other is just over 141,000 miles. But as we've had good success, and I think probably even better as the used vehicle market is kind of pinched now, I bet we're going to have some pretty good success on municipal bid. I'd like to put those both out for auction. One thing I forgot to put on the recommended bid, the last time we had the board voted to allow the chair or the vice chair to sign over the title of the highest bidder. Just the way muni bid likes to have a short window from award to getting the seller on board and getting that cash transferred. They like to, as fast as we can have somebody ready to sign, the better. So if you could amend that, if somebody was going to make a motion to authorize the chair or the vice chair to sign over the title.
I was doing it, I just signed one today. What was that one?
That one was a little bit different. This is for future sales. But yeah, once he finds out, we need a pretty turnaround real quick.
We want to make, somebody make
Yeah,
a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to recommend listing of surplus vehicles for online auction as proposed and authorize the chairman or vice chair to sign the necessary paperwork.
Second.
Motion by Carl, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion? I thought we didn't get three police vehicles this year?
Yeah,
And
we got two early, we just got the third. Third's not ready yet for.
Okay, so we're gonna see another one come up here pretty quick.
Yep.
Right. Well, the motion was on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Under the wire.
Under the wire. Derek, you got 2 minutes when you do the meeting schedule.
Okay, at tab 7A, you have your meeting schedule. There is one change. The HCC meeting scheduled for Wednesday has been canceled. Wednesday at 7 PM in this room will be Conservation Commission.
I'm sorry, I cannot take that, I'm going to be out of town.
Is there anybody available?
Let
Okay.
me just check.
Yep.
I should be able to do it.
Thursday, 7 PM, Planning Board will be in this room.
Same thing, I apologize, I'd be willing to swap next week or the week after. Next week I don't have anything, but
I can't do it Thursday.
Right, I'll have Catherine shoot out an email, and if we can, we can. And then next week, Wednesday, 6 PM, Economic Development Council will be here in this room.
I got that.
Thank you. Consent agenda is quite lengthy this evening, it's a
All right,
two-pager. We're gonna go start into the,
Yeah, let's start into the public hearing, the RSA 79. Get a little detail first, then we can call a public hearing.
yep. So, the town received an application for relief under the 79E Community Revitalization Tax Relief Incentive Program. Just for a reminder for those members, this is basically to rehabilitate older structures, and you freeze the assessment at the level it is pre-rehabilitation for a period up to, in this case, up to 5 years. There's also different bonuses when residential units are included in that. I know that Jennifer LeBlanc's here. She can explain a little bit about the project. What you have in your packet is you have the application form that discusses the project a little bit. They're doing work with the exterior brick facade, exterior lighting, new gas heating system, some HVAC work, as well as some fencing and other repairs. The total project estimate is $68,730. Immediately behind the application in your packet is staff review. We've reviewed it for building, planning, and all those are on your comments as well.
Jennifer, do you want to come up? I will call a public hearing open on RSA 79E, Community Revitalization Tax Relief for 20 Main Street, Lot 34, Lot 81.
evening.
Anybody got any questions for Jennifer? I mean, we just heard pretty much a rundown of what they're doing.
It's right there.
It's right next door here. They also did the one over by the bridge a couple of years ago, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, we did siding actually this past year.
Yeah.
And then 15 North Mass, Tonic.
Yeah, where the barber shop is, they did that one also. Any questions? Anybody here from the public? This is a public hearing. Seeing none, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
So you do in your packet have a decision sheet. If you go to, I guess, tab 6A and then back up one page. If the board's prepared, you do have the ability to vote on this evening. There are 4 questions for you to answer. It does need to meet one of those 4 criteria, one of those public benefits defined by the law. If the board would go through that and answer that, and then you can make a motion to grant or deny. And if you grant, it would be for the number of years that you would like to grant this relief for.
So let's start with, does the project provide at least one of the following public benefits? Let's check them off as we go down. It enhances the economic vitality of the designated area.
Yes.
Yes. Enhances and improves the culturally or historic importance structure. I'm not really too sure about that one, but no. All it has to do is meet one, remember. Promotes and develops the designated area provided for efficiency, safety, and greater sense of community consistent with RSA 9-B.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say yes on that
Yes.
one.
And increases residential housing urban down. No.
No.
So there was 2 of that one. So the application apparently looks like our next step is to grant it.
Yes.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to grant the request.
Second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Mark, to approve an R79E for 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Granted for 5 years.
Yeah, just a comment, I mean, this process has been extremely successful for us in years past. It's brought about great changes to our community and providing a much better look to our community and giving us better community cohesion. I think it's wonderful.
I agree with you. Anything else?
Just a vote on the motion.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you. You all have a great day.
Thank you, too.
Tab 7 next, Eric.
Yes, you have your consent agenda. You have employee status reports, resignation of a crossing guard. You have a promotion of a call firefighter 2 EMT to full-time firefighter. You have 1 part-time AEMT, 2 part-time firefighter 2, and 2 part-time firefighter 2/EMTs discharged for inactivity. You have a deposit voucher for Grassmere Town Hall Restoration Fund in the amount of $250 from LCHIP. It needs a signature of the chair. You have event permits for Goffstown Garden Club, their plant sale on May 21st from 7 to 1 p.m. Police Department Community Block Party on August 2nd from 5 to 8 at the high school. You have a proclamation for the Garden Club, Keep Goffstown Beautiful Week. You have a previously approved ordinance. This was the parking prohibited on south side of Mountain Base Road from Broussard Ave to McFarland Road. This was enacted in September of 2020 when we were doing remote meetings, and we noticed that we never got a signature of the board members. You have a motor vehicle title for a Ford Explorer. This is a transfer from police to DPW. It needs a signature from the chair on both the buyer and the seller. You have a NHDES Household Hazardous Waste Grant, and that needs a signature of the chair.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? I just have one quick question, Derek, and you may not have the answer to this, or maybe you do. I noticed a resignation that what the rate of pay was $11. Is that what we're paying in crossing guards?
Yes.
Okay. Motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes.
At your next page, you have the assessor's recommendations. You have a veterans tax credit. These are recommended for map 6, lot 22-105, map 6, lot 22-39, map 6, lot 22-97, map 6, lot 9-24, map 6, lot 31, map 8, lot 48-16, and map 6, lot 14-1. You have the all veterans tax credit for map 7, lot 27, map 10, lot 30-11, map 38, lot 117-2, and map 4, lot 38. You have elderly tax exemption recommended for map 17, lot 99, map 8, lot 32-2, map 11, lot 11, map 6, lot 22-105, map 6, lot 22-39, and map 37, lot 27. You have solar energy systems tax exemptions recommended for map 6, lot 66-2, map 7, lot 111A-2-23, map 2, lot 24, map 16, lot 57, and map 3, lot 59-4. And then you have a report of excavated material for the tax year 2021 and the associated excavation tax warrant in the amount of $63, recommended for map 6, lot 11-1.
Motion to approve the assessor's recommendation is presented.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
At tab 7D, we are seeking the reappointment of 3 officials here at Town Hall. The first is for the tax collector for a 1-year term expiring March 31st of the following year. The second is a deputy tax collector, again, for a term to expire March 31st of next year. And then the deputy town clerk, which has been recommended by the town clerk.
Okay, we'll take them one at a time.
Make a motion to reappoint Stephanie Bodwin as tax collector for a term expiring March 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 5-0.
Make a motion to appoint Deb Nikias as deputy tax collector for a term expiring March 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Motion to reappoint Karen Leclerc as deputy town clerk for a term expiring March 31st, 2023.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 5-0.
And the last item this evening at tab 7E, there are 4 draft information technology policies. You have an information systems acceptable use policy, the password management policy, email usage policy, and remote work policy. These have been put together by Brian Ray down in IT. To replace our use of town computers and communication portion of the personnel plan, which has become a little bit outdated. These have been run by Primex, and they were reviewed and changes made based on their suggestion. These policies were also reviewed by town department heads, and changes were made based on their suggestions. The request this evening is to have you review them, answer any questions you might have, post them for the minimum 7 days, and then have you vote on them at the May 9th meeting with any changes that you see fit.
I have some questions.
Go right ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. First of all, I'd just like to say that these are really good policies, and they encompass a lot of the challenges that we've had over the past 2 years, so I'm happy to see these written down. My question, first and foremost, was with the user agreement. Is the intention to have one for each of these policies, and if we approve these, to have all employees sign off on the ones that have that amendment?
Yes, we would do a separate sign-off for each distinct policy.
Okay. I also wanted to know if the email policy would be something that would be given to committees who...
It would be for any Goffstown user, yes.
Right.
And that would include members of the select board, members of the sewer commission, and members of the trustees, the supervisors. No, the supervisors don't have it, so it'd really just be, those are the only two that use town email addresses, you and the sewer commission.
Okay, and then my only question about content that I really had is that, was there any discussion about an amendment to, or potentially have like an addendum that has some of these things that are more suggestions, like the email best practice etiquette? That's not necessarily a policy, it's more of a suggestion of common courtesy, and I wonder if we just put that in a separate document that's like, this is not actually something we would hold people to, or is it the intention that we would hold people to these?
I can talk to,
Specific
no, that's a good idea. I think we can look to potentially pull that out and put that in as an addendum, because that was, I think, more common courtesy to kind of teach people of how they should be doing things.
Yeah.
So, but rather than enforce or give somebody a, a violation on that.
Right, I was thinking more disciplinary action, that it does kind of muddy what's the expectation.
Yeah, we can
policy
pull those,
itself.
we can pull those out and use it as a reference addendum to the policy, and then post it with that if you'd like.
That was my only suggestion of content.
That's just a courtesy anyway, I mean,
Well, but
how
right,
you talk.
you agreeing with me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
Well, you
it's
know, I
actually
mean,
written in. No, I was just wondering if you had seen that. Correct. And then my other question about the user agreement is, do you know what their plan is for collection of these from employees? Would this be a manual process, and who would be responsible for collecting these?
So what we've
sign-offs?
done, what we did with the cyber, security camera policy that was developed last year, we sent it out electronically to members, and members were able, users were able to go in, view the document, and then sign it off through Microsoft Forms. And then IT followed up with department heads with a list of employees that needed to track
Get
it
on
down.
board, yep.
And get signed.
Will any of our new systems interfere with any of this, what's going on with this, as far as using it?
I don't believe so. I can have department heads double check one more time, but all the department heads did have a chance to review it, and they provided some good feedback, so I assume that they thought of that, but I can double check again.
The other question I had was on the remote work policy, where it says about the supplied equipment from working from home. Are we confident that that's something we can put in writing? Like the size of a monitor, things like that? Can we just say like appropriate equipment? I just want to make sure we don't put ourselves in a situation where someone needs equipment, there's a supply shortage or something like that, and then we're trying to figure out how to meet this policy as the distributor of the policy itself.
Perhaps we could modify that language a little bit to say as available, or substitutions may be made based on what's available.
I can see where that, well, I'm maybe a little different, but I use a regular laptop at home, but then I carry my tablet with me when I'm traveling, so you could definitely have two different.
Oh, yeah, I was just talking, this one, it says like the town will supply this, and it gives a size for a monitor, things like, I just don't want us to be locked in if someone really,
Well, somebody says, don't want a 22-inch monitor and you don't have them.
right. That was something.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else? Jim, you all set?
I'm all set, thank you.
So what do you want us to do tonight?
If you could, I guess, approve of the changes of doing the email etiquette pulled out as a addendum, and those changes to the remote work policy, that we could post them in the departments and then consider them for adoption on the May 9th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded by Jim. You know you were waving at me, so I didn't know.
I was gonna make the motion, but I'll second it.
Gotta
Any
be quicker.
discussion, any further discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. I guess the next would be new business. Is there any new business? You have something, Kelly, you want to bring forward?
Well, it's technically an old business, so I can wait if there's nothing. Unless there's
I
nothing.
don't see anybody, I don't see any new business. Derek, is there?
I don't have any new business. I guess the only new business, the fire chief he requested a special meeting later this week. They are finalizing their pricing on the fire engine. They have either waiting on one last document but prices change on May 1st. So speaking with the chair, would members be available Friday early evening to meet, if that still allows them to put in their order and lock in pricing?
Yeah, like by 4 o'clock or something. I'm concerned, I haven't even seen the bid yet. How many bids were there? Is it high bid, low bid?
So they're seeking,
How many different manufacturers we went to? I won't go with that one.
Okay?
Fridays.
I won't vote, I mean, I'm not, that's me, I won't say anybody else's. But I don't know, if you just go with one manufacturer, just give it to one person.
so it's my understanding that the chief would be proposing to go with the Houston Galveston Cooperative Purchasing Agreement that we've used in the past for other fire equipment, where a large group goes out and seeks multiple bids on multiple different designs, and then any community can take advantage
Well,
of it.
Mark, why don't you fill us in a little bit? You were on that committee.
So, basically, we've had four meetings, and we're waiting currently for the 5th meeting this week to come forward. It was the wish of the committee to go with a certain front end of the fire truck, the TAC 4 steering. They want to go with that. We currently have that on engine 1, engine 2, I think the tower's got it. And they say it's the best steering going, and I don't agree with that. I think we can do better with other things. And once the committee agreed to go with that particular type steering, there's only one manufacturer, one company that makes it, and that's Pierce, and that's the only company that we've dealt with since this whole process has been going on. We've not looked elsewhere, we've not gone elsewhere, because the committee said this particular steering, Pierce is the only one that makes it. We've dealt with Pierce and worked with Pierce for the last month and a half or so, or more.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
So you've had 5 meetings, was that from 5 different manufacturers?
All
or-
with Pierce. All with Pierce. Every time we have our meeting, Kelly, we come in and we continue to build the fire truck. It took the 3 meetings of 8 hours a day to build the fire truck, to get the fire truck. Then we had our meeting. The vendor couldn't make it to our meeting, so we had our meeting and we made the adjustments that we needed to make to get the truck to somewhat, what they were asking for. And the last meeting last week that we had was, we sat down, got together, finalized everything, and now we're waiting for that price to come back from Pierce.
So we haven't actually put anything out to bid yet, is
Nope.
that correct?
Nope.
They're not putting it on the bid, they're just sending it to Pierce.
Just to Pierce.
Oh,
So-
I understand,
Yeah.
I'm just asking out loud that we
Yeah.
haven't actually.
So it's just one singular item, it's the steering?
Yep,
Mech-
one,
yeah?
yep,
And there's only one company that makes this steering?
one company that makes it calls.
And why is it so,
They own the rights to it, and they're not,
but there's other steering mechanisms? or-
there's a standard steering there's a regular steering of a truck.
So what is it about this one that,
You'd have to ask them guys, Collis. I've driven both the trucks. I see no difference in this steering versus that steering. To me, I'll wait till we have our meeting and sit down and I'll discuss it then.
Quick story from years and years ago, when I first got on the budget committee. We were speccing trucks, and we were speccing them with a rear end that only one manufacturer could make, was Mack. So all we could get was Mack trucks because we specced it that way. And then eventually, it was brought to light that that's the reason we were speccing that particular rear end. And then all of a sudden, we changed and we started getting more options on our bids. And this is what I'm saying is, it sounds like what's happening here is we're speccing a vehicle that only one manufacturer can make, then he's got you. I mean,
whether it's a rear end or a steering, if it's a singular manufacturer of one of those items, and it's because if it's longevity, of its ease to find replacement parts, or there's something that justifies it, but lacking that, I mean, this is a big ticket item.
I guess I would, I have so many questions right now. Can you just give me a brief overview, Derek, on what this committee was supposed to specifically do? Was it to build a fire truck from the committee itself, or is it to bring forward a recommendation, or is it to?
All of the above that you've mentioned.
Okay, so they're, okay.
this wasn't our committee, this was a committee put on by the fire chief. And he asked Mark, being an ex-firefighter, to.
Okay, I just assumed it was the select
No,
board.
it was not
My
from us.
apologies. Okay.
This was an in-house staff committee.
I understand that, and I am in no way, shape, or form a professional fire truck purchaser, so I would definitely like more information on, the who, what, where, when, why, of how this would be the only thing that we would be considering.
So I guess the question I had for you is, are you available potentially Friday to meet, where the fire chief can answer some of those questions?
Okay.
Yeah, I would say we could meet maybe 4 o'clock if he wants. Call us, you're gonna be back by then?
Yeah, I'll be back Friday.
You available?
Yeah.
Jim? Mark?
Oh, yeah.
Can I just ask a question?
Go right ahead.
I'm confused. Is this, you're building a new fire truck that we don't have yet? This piece is not going on an existing truck?
No, we're building
Okay,
a
so
brand new
there's no
fire
danger
truck
issue that they're
from-
driving around, okay?
from scratch, right from the ground up.
Okay, so there's no time issue then, okay?
And this was the CIP designated truck that we've been planning to
Correct.
purchase,
Yeah,
right?
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
okay.
Yep.
okay.
And this building committee is saying, this is the steering system we want,
Right.
with no backup and justification, or?
It's not
Well, I think
it's
that's
not
what we're
a
thinking.
majority on the steering committee, I'm the odd man out, okay? I'll leave it at that. We'll discuss it in non-public next door after, if you would like.
That's not on, I don't wanna get into
No,
non-public
but,
if it's
I
not a
mean-
non-public item.
How many people on that committee?
5 of us.
We'll discuss it at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon.
All right.
I don't wanna sound like the bad guy, but that's the way I feel.
Yeah, I
That
get-
doesn't make sense to me.
I like the way it's trending.
Kelly?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking, I have a lot of questions. I'll wait till Friday. Do you want me to do the department head review?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
We'll start with the
great.
department head. review.
So Derek was wonderful in providing me with all the background information, because we've talked about this quite often, so the different processes were sort of blending together, so he did some, helped me with some back research, so we could look at the 5 years ago department head review process, the updated department head review process, and took a little break, then we were trying to focus more on goal-focused department head review process. We had a bit of discussion about whether or not this was something that, what the department heads were interested in having, like, was this useful, is this helpful, is this something that we should be trying to do for them, and the general consensus, and also my personal and professional opinion is that, yes, this is something that can be utilized to be helpful for the department heads. It's something that they're interested in having. We also took into consideration some comments about the select board wanting some pre-filled in comments from the department head. So taking all of that into consideration, I'm proposing that we work this year on bringing back the department head review process with a combination of the different things that we've done in the past that were good. The first being the self-evaluation process, which is shortened and also gives more of a focus on goal setting for future years. So the department heads would still have that, have a short meeting with us, but we would kind of focus more on the goal setting bit of it, because as we found in the past, it's difficult for the select board to give specific feedback on performance for day-to-day things, which is more of what the review itself asks for. So basically, it would just be a simplified version of what we did in the past, combined with all the work that we did on the proposed pre-COVID department head review that we were planning on doing.
So would you say that the reviews we do now are more or less for next year? Because we'll be setting their goals for next year?
That would be the component where we would get involved and make sure, you know, like you could always say budgeting and CIP, but looking to us to help make that a bit more specific and having conversations with them about that long-term planning, because as those of us know who have gone through that process before, it's hard for us to give them feedback on their day-to-day performance, you know, because we're not doing that stuff. So we're looking to them to kind of give us a little bit of a recap, and then exactly like you said, working with them for the goals for next year that would kind of be to the board discussion with the department head.
What time of year would you suggest this be done?
We're hoping to get this done before budget season starts. Derek, do you happen to have that? I didn't write it down, I'm sorry, the dates that you had thought that we might be able to do it.
I think at the last meeting, there was, what I heard was this, you'd want to do this before July 1st. So what I suggested was perhaps off Mondays where you don't have a select board meeting already. So that would be your first and third meeting, or first and third Mondays in, well, I guess not the first Monday in May, but the third Monday in May. And then your first and third Mondays in June would be potential.
Is that time enough?
I think so.
You think so?
I do, yeah.
Because
Oh, we can-
really you only have, there's really only 4 department heads that you would be reviewing. The library director is overseen by the trustees. You don't currently have a full-time fire chief. So it would really be DPW, myself, police chief, and Parks and Rec. So.
And I think also just want to note that we had pushed this process off in light of all of the scrambling during COVID, so I think it's a good time to recenter and then also us kind of decide on the process moving forward. But hopefully if we can keep it consistent and keep on this time frame, we can just put it on the calendar for next year and check in with the department heads to make sure that it's helpful or useful for them as well.
I'm good with it. Carlos?
Yeah.
Jim?
Yep.
Mark?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just proceed with it then.
Yep.
Okay.
You need to vote on it, or you need to get some kind of form together so we can look at it, or?
We'll have the final form for you at the May 9th meeting.
That'll be fine, good.
And then I'll talk to the department heads about the schedule and who's available on those nights, and we can have a draft for you as well.
Let's go over to old business. Kyle, you took care of department head review action matrix. Any word, did you meet with the county again?
Not since our last meeting, but I know the police chief walked the property with one of the commissioners, so we are still working on that.
Okay. Feasibility study, we're working on that, right, Carlos?
Mhm.
That's still moving along?
Yep.
There's not much we can say about the broken down equipment. DPW seems to be having a hard time over there. We had 3 pieces on there this week. Fire ambulance, that's the one that's accident. Anybody got anything else, questions or anything?
No?
Mark? Motion?
Motion to go into non-public session RSA 91A:3, 2 for,
A, compensation, B, hiring.
yeah, A, compensation and B, hiring.
Second.
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
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 That'll conclude tonight's public portion of the April 25th, 2022 Select Board meeting. Thank you for watching.